Hello everybody, today we will start our class by recalling some details about the present progressive tense, its structure and its use. So in order to understand why do we use it in that way, we will remember the why. So its use, as you can see here in this slide, says that in English present progressive can be used to describe what is happening now or what will happen in the future. So there are two main purposes, as you can see. One, to state what happens at the moment when you are speaking, and the other one that says that what will happen in the future, something that you will do in a immediate future, in a possible future. Now let's remember its structure. So for its structure, we will divide the statement into three different ways: to state an affirmation, or to state a negative form, or an interrogative. In order to state an affirmative statement, or we will use actually this structure. As you can see here in this picture, it will have three main components: a subject, a verb, and a complement. But when we're talking about a verb, we have to remember that the verb is combined by two things, two important components: the verb be and the main verb plus ing. So when we talk about subjects, first we know that we can add or use nouns, proper nouns, common nouns, any person, animal, or thing in singular or plural form. When we talk about the verb, we need to start by using verb be and its correspondent according to the noun. So we have three main forms: am, is, or are. Am, when we're talking about the first person, I am. Is, when we talk about the third person, he, she, is, it is. And are, when we talk about the plural forms, we, you, and they. So since our subject or our noun is Homer, and Homer is only one person, a man, we know that we will use is. So Homer is, and the second verb, or the main verb actually, will have to be ended in ing form. So far we would say Homer is eating, but we can also add a complement. Sometimes this is optional and it depends on our verb. So in the complement, we can use a direct or indirect object. Here, as we can see in the picture, it's easy to understand that Homer is eating a hamburger. That would be an affirmative statement in present progressive. Now continuing with a negative form, we will use the same three components, main components: subject, verb, and complement, but this time, since we are using a negative, the negative form will be not. This not particle has to be added to the verb to be. The verb be plus the not particle can be contracted, so we can say I am not, he isn't, she isn't, it isn't, we aren't, you aren't, they aren't. We can use it in that contracted way, or for more formal ways or formal text. We can say I am, he is, she is, it is, we are, you are, they are not. So the particle not will be a part. So we continue using a noun. The noun could be any person, animal, or thing. Its correspondent, verb be, is, am, or are. The particle not that could be attached to the verb be, and we can use the contracted form as mentioned before. And finally, the main verb plus ing. So far we would say Homer is not eating. And finally, as option, we can add a direct or indirect object. Homer is not eating a hamburger. That would be a negative statement in present progressive. Finally, we can talk about the interrogative way, which is the last way to use a statement in present progressive. So for this way, the structure will start now with the verb be, because the verb be now is working as an auxiliary. And we know that when we are working with questions in English, we are never going to start by the opening question mark because it does not exist in English. It only exists in some languages, as we have talked before about it. So in order to start a question in English, we need to start with an auxiliary verb, and it depends on the tense that you are using. So since we are using present progressive, our auxiliary verb is be, and be only works with itself, so it itself will ask questions, will negate a statement, will answer a question, and will do everything. Okay, so this structure will start with verb be. The three forms of it, as we have said before, is or are. Then the subject, the corresponding one, according to the verb be that we used. In this case, it's Homer. And finally, we have the main verb this time plus the ing form. So you would say, is Homer 18? So far that would be a good question. But we can add a direct or indirect object. Is Homer eating a hamburger? And we can reply yes, he is, or no, he isn't. So we would use the same verb be to reply in a negative or affirmative way. So this is how we use this structure in present progressive tense, and that is how you use it. This is why you use it in that way, and I hope you have understood everything in a clear way. Otherwise, you can come to me and ask me any question that you have. So thank you very much for your attention.